Well, tulips are my favorite flowers. And if you are looking to tiptoe through the tulips next spring, well, we've got some tips on how to plant those bulbs right now. And who better to give us those tips than this guy, Antonio Valente? He may be, well, right now he's dancing his way through the dahlias. But he is here to give us some floral inspiration. His Instagram account is amazing. It is one of my favorites. Antonio is joining us from one of his favorite places to be. That's inside his garden. Oh, my word. Your garden is beautiful.
Good morning. Thank you, Emery. Welcome to my garden. It's nice to have you here.
I'm so excited to be there. Oh, it's so beautiful. And it makes me feel like life is here, even though the skies are getting darker earlier and earlier. You're here to show us how to plant bulbs. And I don't want to sound too basic, but if you're a beginner, let's start with the actual bulb. What does it look like?
Yeah, so Emery, this is a tulip bulb right here. It's just simply a modified root, if you will. And you'll notice that there's a pointed end to the bulb. So when you go to plant it, you're gonna want to make sure that that side is pointing up. That's the side from where our flower will grow and bloom next spring.
All right, where do we plant them?
Yeah, so you're gonna want to select a site in your garden with full sun. A little bit of shade, Anne-Marie, is okay, but generally speaking, the more sun, the better. You're also gonna wanna select a site with rich, well-draining soil. Tulip bulbs like well-draining soil. They don't like wet feet. They could possibly rot if they're staying too wet for too long.
How do you plant them? You mentioned that you put the point up. What other great tips do you have for us?
Yeah, so you're going to want to plant your tulip bulbs roughly 5 to 6 inches deep. And if you're planting a variety of bulbs, generally speaking, the larger the bulb, the deeper it gets planted. And then the other thing is, you're going to want to plant your tulips close, but you don't want them touching. That way, in case one decides to go rotten over the winter, which could happen, they don't all go rotten. So close, but not touching. I usually say about 2 to 3 inches apart in a cluster, and that will give you a really nice display, a really nice show over the spring, over the course of the spring, next spring.
Some of my friends who are gardeners were wondering if they had missed the season for planting their bulbs. Why is now the right time?
Oh, no. Now is actually the perfect time. October is ideal for planting tulips. I know it seems unusual that you would plant the tulip bulbs now, but they need to go through what's called a vernalization period. It's what's called a cold period. They need to go through that winter period before they will begin to bloom. So October is absolutely 100% the perfect month to get your tulip bulbs into the ground. You haven't missed that window.
Oh, tulip bulbs, the perfect metaphor. You must go through winter in order to bloom in the spring.
Right?
You know who else loves tulip bulbs? Squirrels. How do I keep them away from the squirrels in the fall and the winter?
Squirrels. Okay, we have squirrels here, and they're a total problem, a total issue. So what you can do for that is I just buy a roll of chicken wire from the hardware store, and it's fairly inexpensive. And then what I do is I cut sections of the chicken wire out, so something similar to this, just small sections. And so once I'm done planting my tulip bulbs and I've covered them back up with soil, I just simply place this chicken wire over the top of the soil where I've planted my bulbs. And then you can just pull this up once the ground is frozen. Here, let's say around December, the squirrels aren't going to dig them up once the ground is frozen. And if you forget to leave this there over the winter, just make sure you pick it up before the tulips begin to grow, so it doesn't impede with their growth. So just some simple chicken wire will keep the squirrels away.
Antonio, I love that you're joining us from your garden. You are a flower farmer. I always learn so much from you. Both aesthetically and technically as well. I want to show people some pictures from your Instagram account, though, because it is so beautiful. If you love flowers, you will love this Instagram account. What tips do you have for us in terms, look at what comes out of your garden, Antonio, they're gorgeous. What tips do you have for us in terms of design?
Thanks, Emery. So I always suggest planting your tulips in clusters, in clumps of at least 10 or more bulbs. Don't take your bulbs and sort of plant one here and one there. You're going to sort of lose that impact. So clump your tulip bulbs together, like I said, at least 10 to a bunch. And then also plant them in solid varieties, solid colors. And that way you really get to appreciate each individual variety. And then lastly, don't be afraid to mix your tulip bulbs and clumping them in with the other perennials in your garden, or mixing them in with the other shrubs you have in your garden. And that way you have different points of interest throughout your garden, different things blooming throughout the entire spring.
Listen, if you need to feel happy, go to Antonio Valente Flowers, his Instagram account. There's a reason there's almost 40,000 followers there. Good to see you, my friend. Take care.
So nice to see you too, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.